They say that there are 3 levels of conversation. Level 1 is when people talk about other people. Level 2 is when people talk about events. There's nothing wrong with either of those, but this is Level 3 Studio. Level 3 is when people talk about ideas and what is possible. Welcome to Level 3 Studio, where we feed your body, feed your mind, and without a doubt, feed your soul. Let's take a toast. I truly appreciate each and every one of you being here. I could give like a 10-minute spiel about how I've been dreaming of doing something like this for years, but I'll just say your time and your presence, your energy means the world to me. So cheers. All right, now as I explain, which we can deviate from, but the show will run essentially as 3 segments. The first segment is called Practical and Tactical. So think about like, what is it that you do in your day-to-day life? How do you strategize? How do you prioritize? How do you decide to spend the minutes that are slowly ticking away? And then segment 2 is called True North. So what inspires you, what motivates you, what drives you? And we'll close out that segment as I asked you all to think about some part of your life story that has meant a lot to you. We'll break, enjoy the amazing food of Chef J the GOAT. And then we'll close out the show with segment 3, which is called Innovator's Toolbox. Where you see here, we'll just go around and we'll just say one thing, in reflection of conversation that you've been carrying with you lately, something that means something to you, that you would leave behind in this metaphorical innovator's toolbox to improve the experiences of tomorrow's generation. So we'll start with the first question, simple question. My man Adam has taken the torch. The question is, what is it that you spend your time doing?
Pretty succinctly, I spend my time uniquely positioning people to be the best version of themselves. That's what I do. That's what I love. Straight to the point. I thought of that phrase because I applied for the Obama Fellowship this year. Still waiting, Obama. You ain't gave me no news yet. So yeah. Where you at, bro? So call me. But they asked us to describe what we do in 10 words or less. I can't remember if that was in 10 or 11. What I just gave you, I probably add a little bit on top of it. But I remember it was very challenging to think of what you do in 10 words or less.
Absolutely.
But that is what my charge has been since my first job at a college and currently. So
that's interesting. Do we try to build up the language of what we do to like please others, or is it we just naturally do it? Like, what makes us want to have such convoluted explanations of like what we do?
I think a lot of people think purple prose language is like sexy and attractive, and if you can show off big vocabulary and a lot of experience and through the words you use, that it makes you more appealing. There's something to be said about economy of language, and that's something I've been trying to get better about myself. I tend to ramble, which I don't know why you brought me on this. Yo bad. The rest of y'all ain't getting nowhere time. But I think there's an idea of creating your elevator speech that is your life and condensing that and concentrating that, I think.
Well, I don't want to confine anyone into that elevator speech, but if you have one, how would each of you answer that question? What is it that you spend your time doing?
Yeah, I mean, mine I say like as one word, but then I would expound upon it a little bit. I build. So like genuinely, I believe a lot in intentions. And so I start the day with an intention and I build around 4 angles. First and foremost, like I do build myself. I build my capacity. I build my spirituality. I build my mental abilities on the daily. I try to do something. Then I build my daughter. I build her to be better than me. And then I build my foundation. And so I really think about how am I building with my partner, with my husband. And then lastly, I try to build a lot of people. I feel like I'm in a position where now I touch a lot of people to build their capacity for students in Kansas City. So I build around like those 3 frameworks.
I'm curious about all of them, but just my own, the one I'm striving for the most is trying to build, trying to build a spiritual life in unison, in parallel with building for the best version of it, a material life. You know what I mean? Being present, being active, being in the moment with people and circumstances, but also becoming more of me every day. Like, how do you balance that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true because I can't control all the times the outer world, even though I'm trying to build people's like capacities to deal with it. But I can always control my inner world, and I think that's what you're talking about with like the spirituality.
Yeah.
So, man, I do like the basics. I meditate. I wake up, meditate. I go to sleep and meditate. I read.
What does meditation look like to you?
Like I got my app, like the Headspace app. So I definitely I start the day. I got a 3-year-old to get ready, so I do the app in the morning. So
Slow you down
I
a
got
little bit,
7
tighten it
minutes.
up.
Here we go. But at night, I actually, I'm Hindu, and so I sit with a few incarnations of our God, some incense, and kind of let myself go wherever I need to go. I read, work out, and then just kind of take a minute in the mirror, before the day starts. It's hey,
you got it.
You got this.
Right.
You're running 5 minutes behind. Eggs might be burning, but you got this.
I used to do the same thing. This is really weird, but I would look myself in the mirror and be like, "You a bad boy, Nick." But the second thing was, and exactly what he alluded to, was you said trying to build your best self. You put it beautifully, trying to build your daughter to be better than you. And you said trying to build people as well. Spencer, what's maybe what stops us from getting in the way of being our best self? Or maybe just answer it by saying, how do you work to build your best self?
Well, yeah, I was trying to answer that in 2 parts. I think one of the biggest things that stops us from being our best selves is when we have the tendency to look around and see what everybody else is doing. Right. We have the tendency to really want to be the best version of who someone else is. I want to be the next LeBron. I want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be the next Beyonce. And we can get so stuck on that idea that at times we don't worry about being the best of who we are and the talents that we uniquely bring to the table. Yeah. So I think to your point earlier about really spending time with developing more so who you are as a person will really get you towards what true excellence looks like for you. And the thing about it is you won't have to fake it or force it. It'll just come natural. And you'll radiate it and that'll become your swag or your vibranium, some folks like to say.
One of the earlier shows, what did Ryan say? He said, we got on this topic of faking it till you make it. And he said, I'm in it right now. If there is no made it, we're told our whole lives there's this point if you get to some place where you made it. Yeah. And he said if you fake it, then you'll never make it because right now is the moment. And so Adam told me to look up the originals. I still want to read it. You were supposed to bring it. I'm holding you to that.
I was. That's on me. I was in a rush.
That's okay.
I withheld knowledge.
But I pulled an idea from it. And to your point, Spencer, and this is I think where I'm at right now, where he says choosing to champion novel ideas and values that go against the grain. And I think the greatest challenge of that is vulnerability. Should we teach people to be more vulnerable? How you know what I mean? How do you go about that?
Model it. I mean, you have to start by showing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the first quick tidbit.
What idea that might be a little risque original are you modeling? Are you pushing forward with vulnerability?
That's a good question. I mean, recently to get really, really real in places people don't want to go. Mm-hmm. We recently lost a baby in a really difficult and controversial way, and I went public about it. And
intentionally to share a message or to?
I didn't go public for a long time, and then I thought, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. And I've had so many people reach out saying, thank you, I need to hear that, can we go for coffee? Mm-hmm. I've been sitting by myself crying, I didn't know who to talk to. And that level of vulnerability freed myself for sure. Mm-hmm. And by just that's really all I was trying to do. Mm-hmm. But a lot
free yourself.
Yes.
And then whatever came of that is what came of that.
Yep.
So the first thing that you guys said when you walked in is that we are did you use the word touring? What was it? Touring?
We're touring campuses. Mm-hmm. Actually, we work for a memory company, so can help you with all the names you need to remember.
I get that. So how do you that's interesting, right? How do you plan your day, especially around do you have a time of the year that you tour? Is it just kind of sporadic? How are you?
Well, we would hope that it is scheduled at some point. Right now it's pretty sporadic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's extremely sporadic right now. There's no lie. I'm laying out.
So gonna be honest, we have no idea what we're doing.
It's real sporadic right now. Yeah. It's super stressful. Mm-hmm. And in order to keep sane, we rely on each other a lot. We make sure we work out. We have a workout routine that she forces me to do, which is so helpful. It's seriously the best part of my day every day because I know it's going to happen, and I have something to look forward to. And then after that, I'm not sure. There's like, hey, we just booked a presentation in Chicago. We need you guys in Chicago. Okay, so on the way to the presentation, we're messaging the people that we're presenting to. And so it's just a hectic mess a lot of the times. But at the same time, I would rather do anything else.
Why do you choose to move at that speed? Because one thing I've noticed is I try to pay attention to people. Some people just unadulterated move at the speed life takes them. Some people are slower or calculated or say, hey, can we book this a month out? Like, why are you guys choosing to move at the speed that you're going?
There's multiple things. I think Johnny and I both live this way normally.
Just the nature of your life.
Naturally.
Just go with it.
Yeah, our company that we work for, we kind of do a lot of panic programs, but they somehow work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
What do you rely most on in your work as you're building out your programs? What do you rely the most on?
Collaboration.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. With each other, with the networks that you
with
build?
everyone. Like the most important thing about working at the company that I work at is no one owns an idea. It's never about you. It's never about Marley. It's never about anyone else. It's about the idea. We don't own it. It is the idea. We grow it. We grow it together. You can't take ownership of something that everyone has a part of.
I'll give to it.
Yeah.
What do you think stops people from giving freely?
Egos. Lots of egos.
A lot of fear.
But this thing I'm trying is just being, we'll say egotistic. Is it natural? Are we taught it through our education system to like you have to go out and get yours and so because I noticed like that now we're trying to almost break that down and build community. Is it because it's natural or have we taught that or what do you think?
For me, it's got a lot to do with fear. Like it's like at any point in time you want to create something, it's like a lot of people latch onto that idea, they make it a part themselves, and as soon as someone takes it away and makes it bigger, it's a fear of loss. It's a part of themselves they'll never see again. But the big thing that I've noticed is that when you don't have ownership of that idea from the get-go, you just want to see what's best for it. It's like almost having a child. You can't control what the child does, but you can just do what you can to help it grow. And
Not as concerned with like protecting yourself,
yeah,
but just pushing the idea.
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I agree, and I think that like part of ego's evolution is like baked into our DNA. I think if you watch really young kids, they actually go through an egoic stage, which is really important. So like when you're born, you don't know you from your mom, like legit.
You don't know what's going on.
Like brain scientists study this, that they actually, you can't differentiate. You are not a you. You're not an I. For like a while, and I think about my daughter. I could almost trace when she started being like, "Oh my, this is my hand, I'm like this is my toy, and this is my dog." It's just really, she is actually in the middle of the egoic stage. So people say like terrible twos. No, not there. Hard threes. Hard threes.
Threes is rough.
Yeah, it's because they're in the throes of the ego. And part of that, I mean, especially being really frank, like raising a girl in this world, a brown girl in this world, I don't mind the ego stage because I want like we're teaching her when she doesn't want me to give her a kiss, respect my body. That's what you can say. And that is your body, period. And that's okay. And you have to eventually, when you grow as an adult, learn to put the ego in its place. I think ego was like driven by our way ancestors so they could survive and like help. But then it came to a point where, you know, there's not a lion chasing me.
Right.
It's okay.
We're gonna survive.
98% of the time, okay. And so the ego that's always there saying like, be afraid, someone's gonna take you, someone's gonna do that. It is a relic of the past. That I need to be conscious and aware of, like to control.
What are you replacing it with? What's the...
So awareness, I think that's all we can replace it with, is I have to be aware, when am I operating out of ego, or when am I operating out of like a deeper sense of self? Like am I, so Spencer and Adam and I, we all work for Teach for America, and it's lots of ideas, innovation, like the landscape's always changing. So I have to ask like, okay, do I want to disagree with Spencer?
He left like, wouldn't be there. It's probably in your best bet.
Right? Because it's the idea, or am I feeling like, oh wow, Spencer said something that like people might come back and say, Rhea, you should have known better. Your leadership, your team. I have to have that moment of awareness. I'll say that phrase. It's kind of nebulous, but I think the only thing that we can help, that I have found helps, keep my ego in check is awareness.
To his point of collaboration and for you all in awareness, the three of you that work together, do you intentionally make time to think about how can we collaborate better, or is it just in motion and you tweak it as it goes, or like how do you collaborate?
So Spencer and I, while we all work together, there are kind of, if you will, two kind of dichotomous teams that exist. Even though we work cohesively, Spencer and I work within the same team. We call it the ODG team. Operations Development Green Fellowship, which is the initiative that I lead for the organization. But bi-weekly, we have a meeting with the three of us the five of us that represent those three different initiatives, to make sure that we're coming together and sharing in both like dilemmas and victories, et cetera. Make sure that we're both aligned. All three of us are aligned on what is going on, and I think our staff as a whole does that, as well. Every 2 weeks we have a regional team meeting in which we discuss things going on, triumphs as well as struggles, and we share that burden and those victories together. So,
what have you become most aware of
through sharing that? Just that. I work with wildly talented people. Like I walk into that office every day thinking I'm the least qualified person to be there.
How the hell
Yeah, I'm like, why y'all got me here? Is it because of this hat?
Is this a joke?
It's a dope hat.
Is this a camera?
Yeah.
Is this a game show? Y'all got me.
Waiting to get punked. It's Truman Show part
Is this
2.
the Truman Show?
Yeah. Jim Carrey did it right the first time. You ain't got to redo it. Yeah. But I honestly think that every day. But what's cool about it is that I feel like everybody there thinks the same thing. Everybody has a strength and a growth area that complement each other. And so collectively we are powerful, but individually we are not as powerful. We're not servicing the students and the kids in the city as much as we possibly can if there is no coalition built between all of us.
What's been the greatest challenge? It's too beautiful. I need some. What's been the greatest challenge?
I think everybody has their own way of doing things.
Right, today, last week, in the last 30 days. What are you?
I'm like, am I going to keep my job after this? I think the biggest struggle, the biggest challenge we have is that everyone thinks at some point in time that their way is the right way to do things.
Right, yeah. That's what you're in it for.
Yeah, that's why you were selected, for your excellence. You were here because you were good at something, and so. It's really hard sometimes to hear from your peers like, actually your idea is not as good as Rhea's or as Spencer's, and we're gonna go with that direction. And that's a humbling aspect that you receive.
Can I add real quick?
Yeah, please.
I have to add to go with your level 3 area. I think some of the hardest challenges is the challenge we're working on. We have a wildly inequitable education system, and principals, teachers, parents. I ran into a parent. I was going to one of our partner schools today. I ran into a parent that I know just through family. He's like, oh, Rhea, should I bring my kid to this school? What kind of experience will they have? Are they going to love? And she asked me this question.
Right, and you battling.
She said, well, they love, child's name, like I love her. And I said, and it's like, that is really hard for me. The hardest part about work is that sometimes we may be in the petty things. We maybe let our ego get control of the conversation. Absolutely. And then our children are not receiving what they should receive, and that's the problem we're ultimately tasked, with. And that keeps me up at night,
Just to echo that, the stakes are higher than in any other job that I've been outside of being a teacher. Worked on Wall Street, done a couple other gigs, and people say, "Oh, high stakes, a lot of pressure." But when you're dealing with the future of our students and their educations, I can't think of anything that's more valuable. And so that compounds every decision you make, whether it's right or it's wrong, is either directly or indirectly impacting our students. So you have to think through that lens constantly, and also check your ego at the door.
How do you live with your mistakes, Spencer?
Oh man, so when I taught a math class, and when my students would make a mistake, in the class, I tried to create a culture where they would raise their hand and be really, really excited that they would make a mistake. We would all kind of gather around and learn, what mistake did you make? Why did you make it? And the reason that we celebrated those mistakes was because we know mistakes is the foundation of learning. If you're not making any mistakes, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So we really we all use mistakes to really build ourselves and edify ourselves. They say experts are just the ones who've made the most mistakes. Now, if you're making the same mistake 2-3 times, we got a problem. That's different. But for me, every mistake is a learning and a victory on the path to where I want to go. So I love mistakes.
So yeah, because there's two different beliefs, right? It's like pay big attention to the mistakes and correct them, or like mistakes are a part of it, but focus over here. Like, are you more in trying to analyze your mistakes, improve them?
So a lot like life, mistakes are part of the anatomy of a math problem, right? You have to know, it's not enough for my kids to just choose C. They need to know why A is wrong, why B is wrong, and why D is wrong, because that's how life is. It's not enough for you to just choose this path. You need to also know and juxtapose it against these 2 or 3 other paths and why you have the best one. So that's the critical thinking that we're talking about that we really need to set kids up with as we get further and further into the 21st century. So for me, it's critically important that you know why it's wrong and why that's right.
I'm sure, especially as you guys are kind of like just flying by it and going after it, like mistakes are left and right.
Yeah,
How do you guys work through that?
I think the first thing though is like acknowledging that you made a mistake is really hard. Like for me at least, for personally, I constantly want to instinctively be like, well, no, like there's somebody else, right? And then so acknowledging it and then actually admitting it feels really good. Just being like, I did. I'm sorry to myself, I'm sorry to whoever, but I think it's really being vulnerable and allowing yourself to just be okay with that and then move on first is really important. I think analyzing the mistake and then figuring out how to make it better, and if that means like talking to other people about it and really getting other perspectives, because we're so stuck in our heads a lot of the time that you could be just totally missing the mark, So I think other perspectives is really, really important. And then really just trying to implement.
How often when someone comes to you and says, give me your honest opinion,
So Johnny and I were actually talking about that this morning. He was like trying to tell one of our coworkers why he could be better. And the coworker was taking it really personally. And Johnny, who takes constructive feedback so well, like I've never seen anyone take such good constructive, he's like, I don't get it.
it's my job.
He's like, I don't get it. I'm just like, if somebody tells me something, I'm like, but people get really like hurt, like it's so hard to hear that you could be better at something or that you're not doing well at something, and to really just open up and almost like just be so open and be like, just tell me how to be better it's really difficult for people.
One of the things that's been kind of interesting to reflect on and think on is someone shared a perspective of kind of our education system today, and that all we do is tell students that they're wrong all day. And that, and so I've been trying to be more active in saying, like a thin line, right? You want them to improve, to be better, to critically think, to reflect, but you want them to feel whole in that process at the same time. Like, how do you exercise that balance?
Well, that's great. I'm not in the classroom right now. I'm gonna be back there one day. But right now, I'm trying to increase just my scope of impact in my position. When I was in the classroom, and so I was thinking, listening to Marley, I think that my full honesty comes through more and more and more after I build relationships. So I weigh 2 things, the stake and the relationship. So sometimes I am in positions with folks that I feel like have a lot of leverage, a lot of influence, and they ask my opinion and I might not have a relationship, but the stakes are too high, so I have to choose like being brave and saying, actually, I think this is wrong, here's what, or I think this is right, or whatever. Other times, I'm not sure of the stakes, but I know that there's some feedback to give, and then I try to think about the relationships. And so if relationships are there, I know I can give Adam really honest feedback. I can give Spencer really honest feedback.
Yeah.
But we have purposely built those relationships. And so when you ask about students, if kids know you care about them, you can tell them anything. I think about like my soccer coach when I was playing soccer in high school. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that man appreciated me, saw me as a whole person, wanted nothing but the best for me, and he would say some really?
Some off the wall. yeah, go for it. It's up to you.
Yeah. Rhea, he was Irish, okay? He was like, Rhea, yeah, they're looking terrible today. I don't have an Irish accent.
What is that?
We were left to interpret.
Surly
I
old
was like still seeing it pop
Clint
in my
Eastwood
head,
advanced
right?
right
I like went to Wakanda to plus my soccer and like
Yeah.
I started dating somebody who's like, I don't like that man. I don't think you should do this. It's distracting you from your studies. And I took it and I loved him for it. Right? I was like, I need to check now. I ended up marrying that man, so he was wrong on that one. The rest of it was true. So I think about relationships, especially with kids. If
Critical.
If they know you're in their
Yeah.
corner,
Yeah.
tell them whatever.
I flirt that line. I'll be completely honest with you. I probably push it too far. I started calling my kids bums recently. This is a new venture. I have ventures like Guan with. We test it out, right? But always like and never pushed the line before that relationship was there. Just kind of knowing it intuitively, but it opens up a conversation for them to, and I think maybe because it was in reflection of them speaking about their own experiences. So I would hear them, like I would like listen, like what are they into? What are they listening about? What are they talking about? And they would be like, oh, that person's a bum, right? And so like almost like, okay, I know that they associate bum already. They know what bum means. They have this idea of a bum. So I'm like, you're being a bum, man. I'd be like, I ain't no bum. I like from the looks of things, you look like a bum. He's like, how am I being a bum? And then like, all I need you to do is ask me how or why, and now we can have a conversation. You gave me some heavy stuff. For white folks who teach in the hood and the rest of y'all too.
So you were just reminding me of Christopher Empton, because there's a great TED Talk he has. That's who wrote For White Folks Who Teach in the Hood, and the rest of y'all too. And he said, like, in his TED Talk, he spoke about go to the barbershops, go to the church, go to the Y where your kids playing basketball and listen about how they are speaking, what they are talking about. Because if you can't understand them, if you can't speak on it,
the language,
then they're not ever, you're constantly blocking out their world. So why do you give a damn about the world?
Right, completely. Right? How do you, kind of on the idea of like code, I don't know if you're specifically talking about this, but this is something I've battled with lately, is like code switching and code meshing. And like, how much do I say, no, like this is what I represent versus I understand how the game goes. And you give some to get some. Like what do you think, Spencer? How do you?
I mean, I think honestly, you have to be able to do both. I mean, the idea behind code switching is that you're constantly toggling between different worlds and between different registers, and you're still able to express your ideas clearly, but still not authentically lose who you are.
Is that, and the thing I've been challenged on lately is like, is that possible?
Like, I mean, it's mandatory.
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, you can be.
We can talk about possible.
You can be fluent from the neighborhood you're from and thrive, but if you walk into an interview or something and you can't speak that language, you can't make that switch. Yeah. Or the vice versa, if you speak Wall Street but you can't go home and talk about the issues going on in your community, you're not gonna make it.
So how do you then decide what end goal to shoot for, right? That like justifies the means to getting there. Like I'll switch, I'll have to do this. Like what's the end goal then that justifies the process?
Are you talking about me personally or for my students?
For you personally.
That's a good question. That's something I really rely on my relationship with God to help me find my North Star. I don't always have the answer for where I'm going 5, 10, 15 years from now. So for me, 20s, early 30s are what I call batting practice. It's all about gathering experiences, networks, ideas, concepts of how I want to shape and really put my mark on the world in 5, 10, 15 years from now when I have more social capital, when I'm set up in the way that I want to. So right now, life is a learning experience. It's about making those mistakes. It's about embracing different things. And over time, I think what I want to achieve ultimately will come clearer and clearer, but a lot of it is just enjoying the journey.
For as much grace as you give yourself to just stop and see where you are, how would you describe it?
Like where I am right now?
Yeah. Like what do you believe right now? Where you at?
I got a long way to go.
Every time I learn something, I feel like it gets farther away. I'm like,
if what you did yesterday still feels big to you, you ain't done nothing today. So, I just try and always focus on, I've gotten really, really good at focusing on what's going on today. I don't focus too much on 5, 10, 15, 20. Obviously I have goals that I've set and there's things that I do every day to like get me to places that I want to be, but I really try to focus on the here and now because that's when you get to the then.
Today is enough, man. It's kind of it's a lot in one day if you log in on it.
Exactly.
Marley, like Bob Marley. You like that, Johnny?
There it is.
Look, Jay, it's a process. Life is a process.
Straight process.
It's a process. How about you? Where you at right now? How do you? How you looking?
I'm kind of doing something very similar because I get really anxious when I start thinking about like I'm not doing this and I should be. I do a lot of like I should, you know, and I find that
In like a
just-
beating yourself up way, or like a I'm getting better. You could like
no,
how
like
do you?
I'm trying to put it in like I'm getting better, but in the past it's been a beating myself up, right?
For
Like,
sure. Yeah.
So instead of doing that, it's like just telling myself I am doing this, and I find that even changing the
Even saying like I already am.
yeah.
You start and now you
just
are. You know.
You know,
yeah.
like you're different.
For sure.
You're like you change your state of mind. So
That's so true.
yeah.
He was waving there.
Smells amazing.
It smell good. Look, oh my gosh, man! Every time, it's gonna be good. Trust me. This man Chef Jay comes to it in the clutch every time. In the clutch every time. That's so true. Like, and I've tried to kind of shift that and almost like psych myself out a little bit.
Yes, it's all in mind.
Like, no, I already am. But you don't want to like deceive yourself.
No.
From like
No.
where the stretch you're still making.
Right.
Adam, what are you sure of that you're doing?
It's a really simple question, but difficult answer. What am I sure of that I'm doing?
Yeah, man, what are you sure of? What do you, and I don't want to say you're convincing yourself of anything.
No,
But
no,
if you
no.
were to be convincing yourself.
Specific
of
to my
anything,
work stream or just in life in general?
To you, man. However you blend it or however you separate them.
You know, it kind of lenses. My mom asked me the other day, like, what's the legacy you want to leave? Like, where are you going? And I think she was trying to relate it to my work with Teach for America and my work that I've done with the Kauffman Foundation before that, other jobs before that. But I don't look at my legacy as a vocation.
As like each place I work.
No. I think those are just all means to an end. And my goal is probably pretty similar to everybody else here. Is just to leave the world a little bit better than it was when you got here. And so they'll tell you, anybody that knows me, you won't see me have a bad day. I won't let it happen. I think it's a mindset.
Do you
And so,
though, and no one knows, or like truly when you wake up, it's like
you know what I do? You know what I do every night? I don't tell anybody this. I don't think I've ever told anybody this. I think of 3 things that I really loved about my life that day, and I go to bed. And when I wake up, I revisit those 3 things, and that's how I start my day. And so I start my day with a positive. It's like when you go to class for the first time for a semester, you start with an A. And everybody got an A. That's what they would say. Everybody today has an A. I'm like, some of y'all ain't got no A's, but you know, like, everybody's got an A today. Yeah. But that's how I wake up. I wake up with an A every day. And my goal is to stay above average, and make sure that everybody around me is above average as well. So that's the legacy I want to leave, is leaving everybody, like, after they interact with me, like, I really enjoyed my time with Adam, and I feel like my life is better for having spent X amount of time with him. And that's not like an arrogant thing. It's just like, I want to make you feel as good as I feel.
True. You're
every day.
here on this earth. God gave you another day.
You know, God's
Live
put
it.
me here for a reason. And I really think it's to spread happiness and joy, and you know, if I can do that in this work every day, like, that's the goal. That's the
That's
the
a
dream.
win.
Yeah.
Why does that matter?
Man, I am so blessed, unequivocally blessed. I look at the things that I've been able to do, and the community that I grew up in, and I look at where my parents grew up, you know, Wyandotte, Kansas, and I grew up in the church, and so, you know, you grew up in a Baptist church. It's like you at church Wednesday for prayer meeting, Thursday because your mama said so, Friday for the church lock-in, Saturday for youth day training or choir rehearsal, and then Sunday this pastor preaches until he decides to not
Till
preach
he's
anymore.
done.
Yeah, we had to have our
He
homework
teasing
done.
you. That's how they teach you. He say, all right, I'm going to let y'all out of here.
I got one more point to make. I got one more.
And I'm gonna let y'all out.
And they take the like, they be like, I got one more point to make. I'm like, you got like 9 points to make. I can't get no help today. I can't get none. I'm like, no, you can't, because I'm trying to go home, do my homework. You can't get no help. But I remember my mom was like, get your homework done before church, because you know how he likes to ramble on all day. But I saw the kids in my church as we grew up together. I slowly watched our paths diverge a little bit, and the opportunities that I had that they did not have. You know, you keep up with people on Facebook, you see what they're doing, and you know, and I get messages every now and then from them like, man, you're doing your thing. How do I be like you? And I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling of inequity, that I was given something, I was given a chance that they were not given. And so I try to think every day, like, how can I
Give
better
that back.
impact? Yeah, how can I give back? What can I
give
do?
that back. Yeah.
And so that's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
So
So I don't mean to say that out of context, but for the work that you all do, which is to some could be seen as extremely sacrificial work, work that is consistently and constantly about giving. And why is that the work that you've chosen to do?
This should be an easy answer. None of us ready.
It's really boring. Before we went, I have to shout out Adam's practice of gratitude.
That's
that
powerful.
Might be in like the second. That might be in the.
I actually
second
have
sequence.
a TFA. Do you guys have like a journal?
Journal.
Somewhere
I don't
around
think
here.
I've told anybody except for a select few, but I got a group chat going with just some girlfriends, and we do 10 things every night to each other. So around 9:30, 10 o'clock, it just starts rolling in from people.
Just
I
things
love.
you're grateful of.
And you don't go to bed mad. You really don't. And it's true. Then you wake up and like inevitably, I gotta go pretty early.
Look,
I'm like,
you and me both.
I'm an old
7:21.
You and me both. Is that sun going down? It's about time.
But then I wake up and I see like a bunch of heart shapes. You know, you could do that in the text messages. Like a bunch of people loved all the things I loved all day. So just that gratitude changes your life. I haven't always done that. It really does change your life.
Yeah, it does.
But your initial question, why do I do what I do? Like it seems like a cheesy answer, but because I can't not do it.
Yeah.
I just can't not do it. I have wonderings about people sometimes when they.
Have you tried to not do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd it go?
I didn't never jump.
Oh,
Right?
you-
There's like some offers from like, different private sectors, and there's some like definitely pulls. But it feels like my work is so incomplete.
If it's not this, if it's not the work that you're doing.
Yeah, it's like I haven't seen the changes that I believe need to happen like yesterday, and so it feels really incomplete.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Do you all feel like, this is challenging, right? So I'll ask you to think, because I myself rely so much on the personal, the individual story, and to hear the one story, to think about the family, it matters, and to me that's enough, right? But do you, if you look at like the larger issue, right, the larger challenge, do you feel like you're making progress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yes.
I started
Why?
teaching in 2012. It's a different landscape.
Yeah.
It's a different landscape. Absolutely. Big time. KCPS was unaccredited when I started. It's accredited now, fully accredited. I mean, pre-K was like, oh Lord, where are you going to go for pre-K? Well, you don't have to pay $370 a week. Now, like, families can go to pre-K, period. Its landscape has definitely changed. We have nonprofits popping up left, right, and center trying to innovate on the issues.
Good.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Maybe it's my youthfulness. I just worry, like if you don't worry, you're not doing.
You worry at 30 as well. Don't worry.
Yeah, you do.
What's up, Johnny? Were you gonna say something?
No.
Oh, okay. Man. Yeah. Why do you do what you do, Spencer?
I do what I do because I've been afforded a ton of privilege in my life through the parents I've had, the childhood that I had, and so for me, life is about one of my personal things is if you're trying to achieve a goal that isn't going to take your whole life to really even get to, and you'll probably fail. The goal's probably not big enough for me personally, and so I really want to go to my grave saying that based on everything that was put into me. In terms of the privileges of the things that God gave me on this earth, I gave everything I had to really import it into something that was bigger than me, and that really, even if it was just a little bit, moved the dial. And I don't want to go out saying anything less than that. So for me, it's about a bigger purpose, about inequality, about kids who look like me, kids who look like my family, my friends, kids who didn't come from the same means as I, having the same shot in the same type of childhood, the same type of happiness, same type of options that I had coming up.
Parallel with vulnerability is courage. It takes a lot of courage, and I appreciate you prefacing with the privilege and the opportunity, which I think is a big part of being courageous, is knowing like if shit totally hits the fan, I'll probably be okay. But how how do you, what staples you, right, into having that courage to reach for something that you just articulated as might be beyond me, but I'm still going to reach for it?
Yeah. For me, it's not about, I think a lot of people are afraid to fail. They're afraid to go to their grave saying they failed, they didn't accomplish what they wanted to. And for me, life isn't about, honestly, when you get to the destination, you celebrate and then you go do something else.
It's overrated.
It really is more so about the journey.
Was there a destination that you got to that made you think that?
Yeah, honestly.
Because he casually dropped Wall Street. He was like,
Wall
Street.
He's the most chill dude about what he's done. He'll never tell you. He'll never tell you.
I mean, honestly, it was the day that I got, well, not the day, but about a year after getting to Harvard. Like, that's supposed to be the holy grail of what every...
You said the day after? Like, the day you woke up there?
Like, the year after where you're like, okay, I'm at Harvard, I'm a student. You know, that's like a holy grail for a lot of people. Like, they've made it in life. And once you get there, I equate it to, like, you get something for your birthday. Okay, you got it. What you want? You want something else for your next birthday. It just taught me that we all have an insatiable appetite to be satisfied. If I make $1 billion, guess what? I'm going to go want $2 billion.
Right.
And that taught me that it's ultimately not about the goal. It's more about the journey and what you learn along the way. What knowledge are you taking? What experience? And how are you sharing them with other people? If we focus so much on just our goals or the outcomes, we miss the bigger picture of sharing the experience of life with other people and hopefully enriching theirs along the way.
Completely, man. I try to be, I don't remember which one of y'all said the day, right? Like, I'm trying to just be in the moment, in the experience. Like, this is so cool. This is pretty cool, right? Yeah. Like, we all just sitting here chilling. Like, I had no idea. Like, where's Jay at? Jay! Jay was like, you're going to start this. So I just wanted to feel that moment real quick because this is unbelievable. Johnny, why do you do what you do, man?
I like to attribute Ray's point a little bit because I can't do anything else. I mean, I've tried to do a lot of things, but I can only do what I want to do. Like, it's tough for me. Like, I've got, like, my biggest issue with what I do is the last 10% because I'm already thinking about the next thing.
You're right, closing it out.
Yeah, you know? It's just because, like, I'm built off momentum. The only way I work is momentum. As soon as I build that momentum, I drive that momentum. As soon as that momentum stops, then I have a tough time doing whatever it is.
Closing it out.
Yeah. But why I do what I do for work is because it makes other lives easier. It makes people who struggle remembering information able to remember it and move on to achieve their goals. It's it's probably my favorite part is getting the feedback from the people that use our app saying, like, thank you so much. I couldn't be a doctor without you.
What is the worst, best feedback you've gotten? You know what I mean?
The worst.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Because she said you know, constructive criticism,
So
like you
the
take
worst-
it, like you.
the worst best feedback is that we've gotten is that you should be like your competitor. Because, like, I mean, it really makes you take a look at yourself. Like, what are you offering? What are they offering? Why, like, because you might have something that's just so fire, that's awesome, right? But if your competitor is hitting it just this way, they're getting the market share. Why aren't you getting the market share if you have such a great thing? It's because that they're introducing themselves just a little bit better than you are. And people aren't seeing that value that you're providing. And so seeing that, we've changed.
They're introducing themselves for who they are a little bit better than you are introducing yourselves for who you are.
Exactly. That's perfect.
That's something I struggle with too, is the importance of uniqueness and the importance of community at the same time. And trying to balance those, even in the moment of just like sharing, knowing I can recall feeling moments where I could either share right now something that's unique about me, or I can share right now something that is about community. Like, do you guys toggle between that? Do you feel that, or do you have a good balance?
You wanna repeat that one more time for me?
Yeah, so it's like, I know, so there's like all these, especially, and this is the beautiful thing about just people who strive to be better every day. It's like, you know, you have something that you're trying to improve about yourself, that's unique about you, that you're ready to go all in on. While at the same time, you know that you're trying to rally community. Has your uniqueness ever got in the way of rallying community? are you able to balance them both at the same time? Or?
So garnering buy-in for your vision with the community in which you're working with, essentially.
Yeah.
I think.
Or does your uniqueness help you? Probably for you, right?
My uniqueness probably gets me in trouble a lot of times. We were talking about this. Me and Spencer were talking about this in our ODG meeting today about change. And one of our colleagues brought this article in that really just talked about how change and like 70% of people that view change is basically like a negative thing. Right, yeah. Like when you say the word change, you probably all thought maybe like a negative like feeling, a negative connotation to it. Right? Yeah. Change is a loss of what you had for something else that is indeterminate, that is uncertain, right? I love change. The minute I'm comfortable, I'm out. I don't like being comfortable, so I like doing different things. And so, but I feel like that mindset is not a common mindset. I already mentioned that 70% of people view change as negative. So that 30% is where I live. And it's not every time that the people that you're working with or that you are doing your work for are in that 30% as well. And so you have to convince them that the juice is worth the squeeze in a lot of ways. And sometimes that's difficult to galvanize people behind an idea that is not battle tested.
Especially when change has not been good for a long time.
Right. You're like, that didn't work, that didn't work. You want to do something else? And I'm like, yeah, trust me.
That's so true, though. Like, how do you embrace people for the change that you think is truly going to be good?
I think you have to prove a little bit at a time that is effective. I look at, to be like really specific in my work stream, I brought together all these educators from around the country, and they're all just like dynamic, dynamo educators, and they're all different. It's like a potpourri of different people coming together, both in cultural experiences, teaching experiences, demographics, orientations, sex, gender, whatever. They're all over the map, and they all came together, and they're all dope at what they do. And I've been trying to like make this work for about a year and a half, and it was really cool for me to see them come in and be effective and see all these schools in our city really want them. Like there's one teacher who's got like 5 offers from schools to serve, and he has to choose. Yeah, he's like, I've never had this as an educator where I got to choose what school I get to go to. And I'm like, yeah, they're like, usually you're going there and that's it. But he's like, he's got he's got this unique opportunity where he gets to pick. He gets to have volition about where he goes.
As an educator.
As an educator, which is very, very rare. And I think, doing this work, even I coming into this position, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. I doubted myself in a lot of ways, and I doubted the mission and doubted the work that we were doing with this. But to see it all come, to scale, and to see my coworkers and my colleagues see it, and for them to show me love when I came in the office, I had a little card on my desk. It was like, yo, you rock that. That's what's up. And I was like, man, this could work. I'm like, this thing, I've been fronting the whole time, but this might just happen. So I was like super excited about that. And so I think, to your point, like, I think when you start having moments of success and people start seeing that momentum build, they're like, okay, I'm in. This change is happening. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but I've seen this has been effective. This has been effective. Let's buy in. Let's go all in. Let's push the chips in and see what happens. So.
But I think change is hard because stability is an illusion.
Yeah.
Stability is an illusion, and nobody says that because people feel really comfortable with stability. Like it's everywhere in our culture. Get you a partner because it's stable. Get you a good job because it's stable. Nothing is stable, and so I think people they feel really comfortable, but literally stability is an illusion. And we don't say that.
So we're just trying to, so you say most of the time we're trying to change from one idea of stability to the next instead of trying to change by saying there is no stability. We're in constant change, or?
We are in constant change. Yeah, I would say the latter. Like, we gotta get rid of this notion that it's like we're actually stable right now. We're just like doing the same thing. Tomorrow's a day we have never had. You can't tell me that we're doing the same thing tomorrow that we did 3 days ago. I don't know how that works, right? Like, you might think you are, but no, not really. Even if you're a teacher, like, teachers have rituals and routines, which are the same rituals and routines. But every 21 of your kids came in with a different feeling. Something different happened at home that morning. The weather has changed. What they ate for breakfast has changed. Like, everything is just a little bit different. And so I think that, like, Adam had to change really publicly and in the open. So got, pushback. And I think organizations, people, we need to be like, hey, yes, this feels like we're speeding up the change, but we're always changing.
Really
people.
more so just kind of like
If
pulling
not,
back
you're
the,
gone,
yeah,
right?
pulling back the drift. What do you replace with it instead? And I'm interested kind of, what is it that you teach your daughter? Oh.
Yeah, ooh, that's good. I teach all the things.
Oh man, that's gonna be the next 30 minutes of your podcast about to be what she teaches her daughter.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah.
Confidence, I think, is a big thing because
In replace of,
in replace of
change.
like hope for stability.
yeah.
I mean, I hope and I pray that my relationship is super stable. That could change tomorrow. I could get hit by a bus. You know, who knows? But I can leave this earth being confident that my daughter has people around her to help raise her. Like the job, I could walk into work tomorrow. My boss is like, Rhea, I know your JD says this, but girl, we're gonna change all 3 paragraphs of your job description. You're about to do a whole new thing, and I need that check. So I'm gonna say yes, ma'am. Let me do all 3 of those new paragraphs. And I need to have that confidence in myself so that I can turn inward and manage the change. And say, okay, if my days used to look like X, Y, Z, if my goals used to look like A, B, C, and now they're different, let me look inward, take a breath, and then believe I have the tools and skills and resources to develop skills I maybe don't have to succeed in the change.
Is there an experience from life that has taught you to trust that you can do that?
Yeah, lots. I mean, taking this job with TFA, taking my last job, taking my job before that, getting married, becoming a mom. Look, the books, don't buy a book. I will save you. Are any of your parents? Okay, don't buy the books. Don't buy the books. Don't read the blogs.
You got to figure it out on your own, or what?
It's just a bunch of BS. It doesn't help because your child is going to be a unique entity that came through you. It's not yours. It's a unique entity that came through you from the universe, from God, whatever you want to name it. And they're going to say, hey, learn me. Figure this out. It's like a child is
Making an offer too.
Wakanda forever and jump on your face.
That's not in the book.
That's not in the book.
That's in the new edition. It's coming out next week.
And you can't look like a child in the face and say, oof, I don't know. I don't know what it.
Right.
You gotta roll with it and deal with it. I think, yeah, definitely parenthood is a super common.
Actually, funny. I actually love that because when I worked at the Coffin Foundation, one of my friends had a baby, and I was like, I've always wondered. I want a kid. Like, I want a kid so badly. And I was like, what's it like having a child? And she's like, my first reaction was, oh my God, they're letting me take a human home from the hospital. And I was like, dang, that's real. That's so real. I was like, I don't know what I'd do with that. I don't know what I'd do. So I didn't want to add anything more than that. It was just like, that's all I got. But I was just like, man, that is scary.
I want to add, when did you get your child?
Ladies, single out here. Edit that out.
There's a potato in the oven. Sorry.
Damn.
I didn't want it to burn. It's gonna be a good potato. Okay.
Also, ladies, Adam's
Sorry.
single. He wants a child.
Single and wants a child.
I don't know if people
Wow,
know that.
it's a lot.
You're welcome.
It's a lot. amiller0622 is my Instagram handle.
Looking for Eve. This is a description.
Okay. me and this guy Spencer, man, we go at each other every day, maybe over something. I swear, we bicker every day over something. Just take shots.
Not gonna let it
You
down.
gotta have a brood too.
What?
Hot seat. Hot seat. All right.
Lord have mercy.
Do you,
That's all the dad jokes.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, I got this dad sweater on.
Ever since these patches,
Change.
you've changed. You know.
are you a father, Spencer?
No.
Not
far
not
from
yet.
it.
He acted
Not
like it. He
not-
walked slow with
not
his
yet.
hands behind his
so slow.
With
I don't know how you survived New York for how long you did.
Drive slow, homie. I speed now. When I go to New York, my cadence and the way I move changes a little bit.
Just straight
Even
out the gate.
my delivery changes a little bit. You know, this is very Kansas City.
You
very-
code switch.
When I'm in
yeah,
New York,
yeah,
you know, I
yeah.
kind of sit up a little bit straighter in my chair and I talk a little bit more like this because, you know, I can do that. This is where I'm from. So
Why you saying like
let me get
M'Baku and Wakanda? You know, yeah, this is my kingdom. You know, this is my kingdom.
He was chilling in that. In the,
You speak again, we'll feed you to our children. We're vegetarians. I'm just kidding.
Oh man, getting comfortable.
Never get that.
When do you feel like you can be comfortable and professional at the same time?
I want Marley to take this one. Marley.
Marley.
What's up, Marley?
I feel like we can.
Y'all suckers out, yeah. Y'all can't. Straight for self, Marley. Get this mic back. I mean, she dirty.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when I'm not comfortable, it shows. So if I want to be authentic and I want to show, who I am, I have to be comfortable. And I feel like that's professional rather than a fake version of myself.
I'm trying to change. One thing I'm really trying to do is change. Who decided what was professional? Y'all ever think about that? Like, why is this professional?
It's definitely like there's always been for me personally is like there's facade that people try and portray that is professional that I've always struggled with personally just because I have never been good in front of people. I've never been able to portray myself in a very professional manner because I've always been lax. I've always been able to get by being lax. I've always been able to like talk to people and like enjoy the moment and have good conversation. But as soon as like, I have to sell something, I have to say the right thing. I have to put it in the right manner. So when my company sent us out on this like trip, I was like, me? You sure you want me? I'm gonna have conversations about people's lives and what they're interested in, not about our products. But yeah, it's this thing that like it's unfortunate that we almost have to separate who we are from what we do in order to work in the business realm.
And then I also believe that it's the standard that like society creates for us. Like every single day, like or as we're growing up, we're basically living by a standard that we have to obtain or have to reach based off science, based off studies, based off all these things that's going to challenge you to make you better. And now it's like we're all thrown into the pot to become like this. And it's like we're oddballs compared to that, but we're trying to condition ourselves to match that so that way we can be the best fit for opportunities, the best fit for a position, a best fit for whatever it is that we may get in. So it's like, I believe that that's something that is ultimately we're trained and conditioned to become professional.
I'm still trying to find people like that. Like, even middle-aged white people ain't like that. Like that's the thing that's thrown me off. Like even, I don't know, like whatever professional is, like, we talk in a certain way and walk in a certain way and behave in a certain way. I did. It's been the most freeing thing of my life.
No, but because dominant culture will set the rules of engagement and then trick us because if someone is a part of dominant culture, it's like they grew up knowing they can also say you're in or out of the club.
So it's like, either way.
So
what do you do to build yourself, your family, your community?
I want to hear about Spencer though, because I feel like you probably had to really engage in those spaces in Wall Street successfully. And I want to hear you take it there in terms of like going back to the code switch.
Yeah.
And like how
many black people did you work with, Spencer?
2, 3. Honestly, the first year was pretty difficult. Like I remember one of the first days I was there, I was straight in my seat like this.
Yeah.
leg out, you did the right leg out.
Let me just say, I was doing let me tell you, that was a huge mistake there.
Like you was publicly acknowledged as a huge mistake?
I mean, I got pulled into a empty room and basically, I didn't get cussed out because it's not that kind of place, but I definitely was reprimanded to borrow a term from that vernacular. And it just taught me that, when you move in different spaces, you still have to figure out a way to still be yourself, but within these different spaces. The world in that way is not fair. We're not in a place, unfortunately, yet where I can come to any workplace and sit how I want. And so you then have to find ways to adapt. And so it's taught me, and my parents and this city really has taught me how to adapt in a way that I never thought I would need to. So,
Because it is always a game that can you ask some students. I think we have to be transparent about the game with students or our children. And like even with you, when I hear you say, I was looking for these people, don't look for these people. know the game, and then know when you want to play it and when you don't.
Yeah.
Because there are some times in which you do want to play it because the resources you would gain access to are worth it.
All right. But have you, in this thing I'm trying to, have you sacrificed too much already in the pursuit?
I personally haven't had to. I worry about my husband sometimes. He works in a very like traditional. He's the only black male there, like in our office, and I'm like, I mean, the things he overhears in the lunchroom, I'm like, hey, you didn't
I would have. Ain't
like
flip that table.
He
Flip this whole table
walked
over.
by a lunchroom one day and heard his coworkers say, and I quote, I mean, without slavery, they would still be in Africa. So I think a thanks is in order.
That whole thing?
The whole thing. And he still is employed.
They'd have got hemmed up.
Right,
Real fast.
but, I mean, the resources he has access to are far and beyond the resources any of us have access to right now.
You don't have to say specifically, but I'm just curious, like, what's the worth? Like, what's the resource? What makes it worth it?
I think he can and we can create and lift boats that we care about. So, you know, my daughter, she had college savings account.
I ain't gonna argue with that.
We've been able to help our families. We've been able to help our friends. We've been able to help ourselves. We've been he has been able to dramatically shift what is this called? What the statistics should have been, what the projections should have been. And so, I mean, right now, I would say, yeah. Yeah, I mean.
I don't know. I don't think I went to that point, but I asked myself because I don't want to wait and decide until I meet that moment. I want to know before, like, okay, this is where I got to check out and turn away, you know.
So I want to speak to that briefly because I feel like I'm pretty consistent with who I am in the workplace and outside of it. And I've been labeled as being unprofessional in the past, and so I've had to figure out a way to kind of like exist in both realms. If you're looking at a Venn diagram, I'm in the middle of like who I am both professionally and having fun. Spencer and Rhea will tell you I'm pretty much the same. He's like shaking his head. I'm the same.
He's the reason I'm bald.
Quick, happen quick.
Right, I am consistently like over the top at all times, but I've somehow learned, I think, in the last couple of years, how to bring that part of who I am to a professional setting, and leverage that when it is necessary, but also still show that you're worth your salt, that you are intelligent, that you are powerful, and it's hard to balance. I definitely would agree with that. That it's tough that you have to coach. You have to change who you are just to make it. It's a damn shame.
But Adam, I had to push you a little bit because you can do that in our setting. You would have a very different experience
That's
if
fair.
you went to some of these like Fortune 500 companies, or if you went to Wall Street, if you went to work for one of the feds downtown, and you have you have a lot of things that would pass as professionalism, right? Like your dress, the way you speak at times. Sometimes we have an HR card. Sometimes we put it on.
Sometimes it's a daily occurrence. It won't be nothing I said. I'm like, oh, you blinked too much, HR. I'm like, what do you mean? Human resources for what?
But yeah, I feel privileged to work where we work because we can bring our whole selves, and that's not the norm. And I have to remind myself when, like, my mom comes home drained, and I'm like, why are you so drained? Oh, I'm trying to.
Because at all times, right.
Well, it makes you wonder if everybody's out here just faking that. Because even the people that are the CEOs of the Fortune 500, they got to be on too. So we're all just out here exhausted.
All
wondering why we
exhausting
can't be
the hell out of
ourselves.
each other.
It's ridiculous.
Well, in the spirit of privilege, I would say we're all pretty privileged to enjoy this fine meal together. So let's eat.
Chef Jay.
Chef Jay. You gonna sing with me? We're gonna. Right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to. They all went out. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you.
I appreciate it.
Chef J. Chef J. Oh man, dude. Lights out every time, man. Cool, so the last segment, Innovator's Toolbox. We'll go around and everyone will say one reflection, one idea, one belief they hold that they would leave behind in this metaphorical Innovator's Toolbox to improve the experiences of tomorrow's generation. That could be their community experiences, their family experiences. What is one thing that you would leave behind? The answer is, if I knew then what I know now. One thing that you would leave behind, man, in this metaphorical Innovator's Toolbox that we're building, man. One reflection, the if I knew then what I know now statement, man. What is what's one thing you drop in here, man?
So one thing that's really stuck with me, I like basketball a lot. And University of Virginia's basketball coach, one thing I like is basketball. And obviously March Madness is right around the corner, and the number one team in the country right now is the Virginia Cavaliers. And their coach, name escapes me at the moment, but
Got it down, huh?
not Bob Huggins, it's Tony Bennett. And essentially, he's the number one team in the country with no McDonald's All-Americans, no star players. And people are like, how you so successful over the past 5 years with bums, to borrow that's the,
They hate it.
the terminology that
They hate it.
But they're obviously not bums, they're champions. But he said, when I scour the country for players, the one question that I ask myself in selecting them is, can I lose with you? He said losing is a truth serum. To really see who you are as a person and who you are as a player. And so I thought that was really interesting, as we're a culture that really values winning. Everybody's got to win. Everybody should be a winner. That the number one team in the country is a team where the players know how to lose. And what that means for me is that at a very foundational level, they know what it's like when things are hard, when things are difficult, and people are usually giving up or team is self-destructing. They're still with it. And I would argue it's for that reason that they're number one in the country.
It was powerful to read with. It was more powerful to hear you actually say it, man. So how would you sum that up? What's the statement?
Try to put a pin on it. You know, don't be afraid to make mistakes, because those are the steps toward your success. That's what I would say. And we get so caught up, we get so caught up in failure and messing up in front of people that we forget that that's truly what makes us who we are.
Absolutely, man. That's what I learned it. I had to learn it the hard way, but I learned it as truth the hard way.
Yeah.
Like, you fail, and then you wake up the next day and life goes on. You know, it's like it's not the end of the world.
The thing is, like, people only remember you for your successes anyway. You know, like Mark Cuban started a bunch of businesses. You don't care. You just know that one.
No one's gonna say, but he failed at all these things.
That one that hit.
Like, no, he sold a company for $1 billion.
Right.
Made some money.
You know, nobody talks about Jordan's seasons where he didn't get out the first round. We only talk about 6 rings.
That's it.
So don't be afraid to use those failures for something bigger.
I know. Let's bring this around to you. What's one thing you would leave behind, man, to improve the experiences of tomorrow's generation?
Well, to be honest, I would say follow me, you know.
Get some of my food. Go ahead. Shameless plug.
I definitely would say start while you are young. That was like my biggest thing. I started becoming, I was a chef officially at 18 years old. So with me being so young and starting and pursuing it and being professional, having that goal, having everything written out, it just set me up in the best position ever. And now I'm working with like some of the greatest people in the city, in the world. I just did Floyd Mayweather's birthday party.
Hey, let's clap it up for that. God is good. Hey.
Doing good. Man, I'm just blessed and thankful, and what I could pass just to this next generation to start while you're young and just be professional.
Go for it. Beautiful.
I don't know. Like, I started to think of something like know thyself, but I feel like that's kind of ambiguous in a process. So I would say like know this. Know every day that you are like a unique expression of the universe that has never been here and will never be here again. and don't let that be for naught.
Y'all seen if I'm gonna remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no repeats.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I was gonna say that.
Boom.
She said all that.
Know every day that you are a unique expression of the universe. Ooh, that's good.
That kind of aligns with what I want to leave this with, is that I've had the fortune of being able to travel a lot across the planet and see a lot of wonderful things. And from each person I've interacted with, I've learned something. And so it's really just to realize that you have something to offer, that when you were born with everything you need for your toolbox to assemble whatever set it is that you want to create. So you already are inherent. It is kind of like, Noam Chomsky talks about universal grammar and like how we already have these language structures in our mind. I feel like everybody's already equipped with enough to exceed excellence. It's just about knowing how to piece those things together and knowing that you have support around you to do that.
That the importance of community, because I feel like you need to surround yourself with people that are going to make you the best versions of yourself that you can possibly be, and growing from those people and being inspired constantly from those people. So support and community, just knowing where to find that.
For me, like, this is something that, like, I'm taking away from this. Honestly, I don't want to tell you all that I'm taking away. It's just extreme gratitude. This has been an amazing experience. And now, not just hearing about the way you go to bed every night, thinking about your gratitude the same way you do. It's just like, to me, like, visually seeing that, visually seeing your gratitude every day makes you much more humble and powerful and present.
Mine would just be optimistic to change with the right mindset. It's called evolving.
Collaboration will get you a lot farther than just trying to do it yourself. And I learned a lot this week. That that's a very broad stroke, but this week I learned a whole lot of new things from an editing perspective. So that's extremely, selfish and personal. But I would have never been able to get that far without asking or collaborating with someone else. I mean, like, this is what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, what about think it this way? And that collaboration is just, it's insane. It's insane. You would never understand it until you actually experience it and go collaborate.
A lot of people ask, what can I get out of life? And instead of asking that question, you should ask, what does life want from me? And so it kind of switches it. Makes you think more about, what does life want from me? Like, what can I do to help other people? It's more of a community. It's not just, what can I do? It's life as a whole is asking me to do something. And if you can find out what that is, you're onto something.
Yeah. Something I'd put in the toolbox today is this idea that self-doubt is not a sin. It's something to lean into and use to your advantage. And then when you decide to act, even in spite of all that self-doubt, act with supreme confidence.
No, but hope. That's kind of what's resonating with me is that sometimes, especially in the work that we do, hope can seem like insurmountable. It's like, holy cow, how's this all gonna happen? What are we working towards? Is it possible? But to all the points though, but I was just summing up by saying, don't lose hope. Yeah. All right. They say that there are 3 levels of conversation. That's what they say. Level 1 is when people talk about other people. Level 2 is when people talk about events. There's nothing wrong with either of those, but this is level 3 studio. Level 3 is when people talk about ideas and what is possible. Thank you all so much for joining us at level 3 studio, where we fed your body, fed your mind, and hopefully, without a doubt, fed your soul. Cheers.